Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for Thursday, September 1st, 2022. Motion to open the hearing.
Motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So I propose, per Peter's suggestion, we start with 8 Phillip Drive.
Yeah, do we need to make a motion on that? We just roll with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
let's
just go a little out of order because
go out of
that,
order, yeah.
I imagine might be good for the applicant. Okay, so then I will do a motion to open the hearing for 8 Phillip Drive.
So moved.
Do we want to waive the public reading?
Yeah, I'll make a motion with public reading.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Okay, the applicant is Andrew and Holly Jeffers. If you're present, could you please approach the board? Hi.
You can come right up.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Are you Holly?
I'm Holly, yes.
Hi, thanks for coming. Okay, so I guess if you can just walk us through a little bit what you're seeking for, it's a family apartment for a
Yeah.
special permit.
Okay, so my husband and I, together with our son and daughter-in-law, and their 2 girls just bought a house, the property at 8 Florette. And the basement in the house is partially finished. And so we are just seeking for, we want to go the right channel, so we want to make sure that we got the variance, like this family apartment.
It would be a special permit,
A
which is,
special permit.
yeah,
Okay.
variance is just, it's a different criteria. It's a
Okay,
little harder
sorry.
to,
Yeah, that's it. It already has an existing bathroom. It already has carpeting wall. All we want to do is add like a kitchenette.
this is in the basement where it's all, it's
Yeah, it has
finished.
its own entrance and everything, but we want to just, we're sharing the property with our kids.
And so just to be clear, could you state so the primary residence would be your kids or your,
Yeah, all 4 of us are on the mortgage, so it's my son Andrew and his wife Cassie Gaffers,
okay.
and then my husband and I, Andy and Holly Gaffers, live in the basement part.
So you would be, Andy and Holly, you would be the ones that would be in the family apartment.
Correct.
Okay. And then the alteration, like you said, is there already kind of like a kitchen space at all, or it would be?
We won't be really needing to add any walls or anything. When the previous owners put in the bathroom, they set up so that, my understanding is, and of course we have an architect that will come out and check all that out, that the water and everything was already in, was built with the idea that you just open up that wall. I mean, you could add the kitchen onto that wall that shares the water to the bathroom. There is spaces all in for the bedroom. It just needs the flooring down and the ceiling, and then I would see some code stuff that would need to be done. It has an entrance, has 2 modes of egress, but it needs a window.
Which, yeah, I mean, but I'm sure Tim, obviously, it's not really our criteria for the board here, but
Yeah.
That would be a
But that
we
is
talked
good
to
too.
The building inspector, and then we've also talked to an architect who's going to come in and make sure everything meets those requirements.
and your exhaust is good. What, which I guess, again, I don't know if that's our criteria, but are you doing like a gas stove or what would you be doing?
Probably electric, just with it
Okay.
being in the basement. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know any.
Yeah.
But yes, that's the plan, is that it would be electric at this point.
So just so you know, the purpose of what you're in here for is to basically create a legitimate in-law apartment versus something that maybe down the road could maybe be turned into an apartment for supplemental income. That's not allowed.
That's
It's not allowed in that zone, and that's why we have this this bylaw. It pretty much regulates, when people need to move in with people or take care of a parent, or, you're trying to save money maybe, and you're gonna combine, and you're all family. That's what this is for. It's a 5-year, it's for a 5-year, it's like a 5-year permit, and it is renewable upon coming in and just explaining to the board that, what the need, you still have the need and you want to continue it, but we do stress to everybody, it's not for rent, for supplemental income down the road.
Yeah,
If it is,
that's not.
if that's what it turns into, it is a zoning violation.
Okay. Yeah,
Because it
that
has
we
to
have-
be, that's why I asked about who would be the primary residents of the house, and then who would be in the apartment, because it has to be stipulated it's only for you and your
Right,
husband
no, just. it's
and
just
no
me.
other.
Yeah, we don't want other people living there. There's 2 little girls living in it.
Okay. And Yeah, I just imagine that for just to be around the family and you can help out with them as a growing
Yeah, I mean, I
young
think
family.
the idea came out of COVID when everybody was isolated and then we all had COVID, so then we couldn't be there to help them and that's like, this is kind of silly.
And you guys
We
are
don't need
all,
a big house anymore and they need a big house, so this worked out better. We sold our big house and they sold their little house and there we go.
That's
The
great.
house.
And you're all like the stair, you're all connected through the house.
Right, we
from
can go
that's
directly
great.
through the house or we can have our, we have our own private entrance. as
Yeah,
well.
it's pretty much it's a colonial style house. It does have an attached garage, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah, we
basically a
can,
colonial, so it would be the lower level. that they're
Okay.
in.
And vehicle wise, you and your husband would have, do you just have one vehicle or do you have two?
we have two.
Is there is adequate parking for?
Yes, yeah,
vehicles?
the garage is a 2-car garage and then there's parking in the driveway for 4 cars. As well as there's parking on the street, but we don't.
Thank you.
typically use that.
I think those are all my questions. If anyone else in the board has any questions.
No, to be honest with you, I appreciate you coming here in the forefront instead of afterwards. Being upfront about it, I appreciate that. I might have no questions.
Just for the record, can you articulate a hardship that you're trying to avoid? One of the requirements is a hardship.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, I mean, I think this is probably the experience many people are having where my parents are aging to the point and they live in New York, so too far from me really to be of much help. And we're seeing what they're in, the situation they're in, and we're saying, why would we wait until that point to try to do that? So if we move into this situation now, and my daughter-in-law who's an ER nurse has promised when we get old, she's gonna take care of us. We don't need that yet, but we also, the house that we sold, all of the our rooms and stuff were on the 2nd floor. And we're thinking as we're watching like our aging parents, that that's not gonna be a long-term solution. So this allows us to we don't need it now, but we will someday. We can walk directly from the driveway into our house, either through the garage or through the outside without having to use stairs at all. And the pre-existing bathroom has a pretty wide, again, these are all scenarios I hope not to have, and probably will for 20 years, but it is all, the doors, everything you could get through if you need to walk or
For handicap, for accessibility.
yeah, I mean, I think they did like the UBD design when they put those things in, kind of foreseeing that perhaps down the road, I don't know if that's what we built or kind of keeping to.
So Brian, this is maybe a question more for you, but noticing in this that as a nuance, it doesn't say hardship under special permit, but it does say potential fiscal impact. I didn't notice that before. I was just looking at the criteria, but I didn't notice if you noticed that before.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me, but.
Okay, yeah, because I know under variances, that obiously has it. And I guess
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, yeah.
it's a similar kind of thing, but I didn't notice that before, that it does have kind of.
He's got variance on his mind.
Yeah, I used the wrong word, but it's usually a justification.
Cool. Okay, anyone else?
I'm fine.
I have just one question in terms of, do you have a septic tank or
It's
a septic and it's rated for?
It's rated for 4 bedrooms, which the upstairs right now is listed as 4 bedrooms, but the one room is about the size of a closet and it's for the pull down attic. So it's not really a bedroom. It's a great place to put like a exercise bike and maybe some arts and crafts type thing.
Yeah, so the house is listed as a 4-bedroom now, and you're gonna be adding a bedroom, so the process, I get that on a colonial, there's always a small bedroom in the middle, but you can't call it a bedroom, so when you draw the plan for the basement, you draw the footprint for the basement, and you're gonna add a bedroom to it, you're gonna have to redraw the 2nd floor, and you're gonna have to call it something else for the middle, because it's gotta be on record as either a office or a den or something other than a bedroom. Otherwise,
Our architect was saying that we would have to relabel it, but it's not to be used. for that. I mean, that it won't be
otherwise
used.
you would have to explore maybe expanding a septic or see what how many gallons per day your system is designed for now, and then
Okay,
you will have to go through the board of health when you file.
right,
So you'll have to cross that when you start the project.
okay, thank you.
Tim, explain for me if you don't mind. The criteria for bedroom would be a closet and closing door, correct? Or is
It's
that
square
just,
footage, it's square footage, and I mean, if it looks like a bedroom.
but if it didn't have a closet in it, would it
If it
really?
didn't have a closet, no. No, I would not classify it as a bedroom, but you know what? A set of plans labels all the rooms, and that's what it is. When you submit a set of plans, it's public record, and that's what.
Yeah, I'm reading, it's on public records.
Right, so that's why, A lot of them, a lot of these colonies, they have the stairways in the middle of the house. And there's that middle bedroom is just a tiny room. They call it a bedroom to probably boost the value of the house, but you know, literally you can barely fit a twin bed in a bureau.
When
in it,
this has
probably.
the pull down
Yeah.
to go up to the attic.
I get it, I get it, but you know, but you do have to relabel it.
Correct, yes, no, we
Okay.
will.
Yeah, it's like a redesign.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think we had also talked about the situation with there is like a closet in there, so we'll be changing that out.
You'll have to show me, you know, proof
Yeah.
that it's gonna be. You know,
Mr. Chair.
either,
Bruce Wilson, Board of Health. And when the application came in, I pulled their file. It is a 4-bedroom design.
Okay, great. That's good. Yeah, I mean, obviously, hopefully, yeah, you'll just be working
That's
with
it's part of
him.
the process.
And we're all, it looks like what you're doing is, you know, it's great for your family and we're, you know, so we're just trying to help guide you.
Yes, thank you.
So do we want to close?
Would you open it to the public first?
Yeah. All right, we're gonna open it out to the public. If there's any residents or anyone that would like to speak about this, just say your name and address. Anything online? No?
Motion to close the hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Motion to grant the special permit as applied for.
Second motion.
Discussion? No. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I couldn't move in my kids.
And
My kids that much.
all right, I'll move to the next item, going to the original agenda. Next item on the agenda is 86 Pine Grove Ave. I'll hand it over to Peter Gabriel.
I thought, yeah, you do?
What's that?
Who's recusing? You?
No, I was absent. I didn't recuse, but I wasn't, I just figured because you chaired it last time. Do you want to just,
We just continued.
We just continued it. We didn't do anything.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Do you
we-
want me to chair?
Yeah,
it?
because we
Okay, never
need
mind.
your vote. 'cause you got
Okay.
recused, right?
Yep.
I-
We need you to participate.
Oh, you have to recuse yourself.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
then, okay,
Yeah,
I'll
we
just
just
clarify
we
to the
just
public.
continued it,
I'll,
That's all.
okay, I was just continuing. I'll chair over it.
Yes, I wasn't even here.
Okay, so it's already been opened. So now we just, okay.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Okay.
All right, good evening.
My name's Steve Kenny. I'm an attorney in Medway, Massachusetts. I'm representing the petitioner, Peter Bethan. The owner of the property is Christine Massey. He's a personal representative of the estate of Cynthia Massey. Mr. Bethany has an outstanding purchase and sale agreement with the estate for the purchase of the property. We have, I want to make a note, we have removed requests to sell vehicles out of the property. Best if we didn't go that route in this particular.
So you would just be looking for storage? It wouldn't
Exactly.
be for,
Storage of vehicles, exactly,
okay.
right. No
What is
storage.
what's the current use of I mean,
Current use.
or what was the
is-
previous or
Is
current?
a
use of the
wholesale
property?
restaurant distribution supply company.
Okay,
And that's pursuant to a special permit that was granted back in 1979.
That's Art's first year on the board.
Year I graduated from high school, so that's a long time.
May I ask, when was the last time that business was there?
The business is recently, within a year, it's been operating. And it's now closed up. It's about a 70-foot long metal building. And actually.
it's a Butler, yeah, Butler
Yeah,
building.
and actually, I think that I had submitted these, but if I could just hand these to the board. It shows the plot plan and it shows the assessment plan that I'm handing to the board now. I think it was submitted with the application.
Yep.
But it gives you an idea of what this property is like. It's kind of a strange property, if you can see.
Actually,
In the end of
Jason,
a long existing 20-foot right of way. And that, as you can see, there are three homes as you go in on the right and one home on the left. Residential district. Seeking as I mentioned, seeking a special permit regarding a non-conforming nature of the property pursuant to section 240 30 of the zoning bylaw. The lot dimensions for the board's information, 31,625 square feet, lot width of 200 feet, lot depth of 148 feet, and 131 feet, and frontage of 31 and a half feet. As I mentioned, the property is subject to a special permit granted back in 1979 to operate a wholesale distributorship based upon the determination at that time that the proposed use would be less detrimental to the neighborhood than the former woodworking shop that was at the location. As stated in the petition, the property has been used as a wholesale restaurant distribution supply company. The proposed new use would be the storage of vehicles, RVs, boats, motorcycles, in the form of seasonal or long-term rental and storage, where the vehicles would be stored in the fall and winter and removed in the spring. Presently on the lot is a 9,000 square foot Butler-style metal building. In referring to section 240 30 of the zoning bylaw, where it reads the pre-existing non-conforming structures or uses may be extended, altered, changed in use on a special permit if the zoning board of appeals finds that such extension, alteration, or change would be substantially less detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming use. We submit that the proposed use is similar to the prior use and that it's a storage facility. Instead of restaurant supplies, it will be automobiles and motor vehicles on a seasonal basis. We also submit that the proposed use will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing use. The present use as a restaurant wholesale supply company has more traffic than the proposed use. There will be more trips in and out on a daily basis than the seasonal storage of vehicles. Other than the fall and the spring, there will be very limited traffic in and out on a regular basis. And the use as storage is the same, it's just a different type of storage. As I mentioned, we did remove any request to sell vehicles out of the location. And I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
So Tim,
I guess I'm gonna ask, is everybody familiar with this property?
I am,
Oh, you are, okay.
yes.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
you must know, you know where. So this is a property, it says the public record it was built in 73. I don't know, I mean, our zoning was before 73, so I'm not sure how it happened then, but regardless, it's there, it's a steel building, it's not a very large building, it is 9,000 square feet. The uses are pretty much limited for this property. And, you know, like he said, it was a warehouse for the longest time, probably since it was built, I would imagine. Did they only do food distribution there? Was it built from
Yes,
the owner?
yes.
Yeah. So, you know, it kind of is what it is. I don't know about the road itself. Is that an easement or is that their property going in?
That's an easement.
That's an easement. Okay.
Existing right away.
So it almost looks like a, you know,
it's 20 feet wide, which usually easements are like that.
it's
like
drawn,
that's
it's really, it shows like as a road, but,
Yeah.
so it's an easement through all those properties?
That's
An
my
easement through everyone's
understanding,
property? Really?
Exist, yeah, right of way, right.
Okay. So this, like I said, there's not a lot of uses. They came to me and they had closed down the business and it was for sale for a while and several people had come in and, you know, for the amount of time that it was listed and the gentleman that's presented tonight to purchase probably presented that and I just informed him that, you know, it's a change of use. A lot of time has gone by since they were operating. And, you know, I told him, regardless of what, unless you were going to do a restaurant supply there again, you'd have to come in front of the board to seek permission to do anything, basically. You know, as far as the used car stuff, there's no licenses available in Bellingham. There's probably not going to be for quite a while. They're over their quota now, and they're not issuing any licenses. As a matter of fact, when a few of them come up and are not renewed, they won't be reissued because I think they have a limit of maybe 20 or 21. I think there's 23 in town. So they're not going to issue used car licenses for it, but the indoor use, the proposed use, you know, seems to be a, you know, kind of a, I don't know how intrusive the existing business was for trucking wise, because they did ship product and everything. I don't know how busy they were and, you know, how intrusive it was to the neighbors. Once you open it up to the neighbors, I'm sure you'll get some feedback on that. But, you know, if they're proposing indoor storage, You know, as long as you condition it in a way, you know, if you're okay with it, then at least I have some enforcement to enforce later on if it starts to grow out of control. Because there will never be a used car license there.
Just
Not in a
to
long
interrupt
time.
it, he said that they're not going to go for the,
Right,
pull
right.
that part of it anyway.
But you know, if a used car license came available, I mean, he could go for it. You know.
Can we
Well, we have to
condition?
come before the board.
That's right. But if one came available, they could do that. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
So.
And there will be, and just, there'll be no outside parking with any vehicles at any.
Okay, so
It'll be all
I have
indoor.
some technical questions, if
Sure.
you don't mind. I do know the building. I've actually got a picture of the building in front of me. And depth perception of the general entrance door versus the garage door. I don't see you getting RVs in that building.
Excuse me?
I don't see pulling RVs into that building. The average RV is about 10 to 12 feet.
Oh, no,
A fifth wheel is about 16 feet high.
That may very well be the case.
I don't, and that's why I don't understand this whole project. I'm looking at the entrance door and I'm looking at the overhead door and the fact that the door is on the shallow end of the building, shall we say.
Mhm.
There's no way, I've told enough RVs, they're gonna get RVs in there and turned. So I've got a concern what's the real proposal is.
Well,
It's not gonna work.
Yeah, that, with regards to RVs, I wouldn't be able to comment on that. I think certainly if it doesn't fit in there, they're not gonna be able to store it in there. I think the majority of the storage that they're looking at doing are automobiles, motorcycles, smaller vehicles that aren't used in the winter. For instance, convertibles, classic cars, that sort of situation. If they can't fit an RV in there, by all means, they can't do it, so.
So Tim, like Peter asked, it doesn't fall under abandonment then, because it's been only a year that it's been discontinued. Because that was the question I was.
I would like to know when it was
It's
last.
been more than, it's been.
Because I know it's the
yeah,
2-year
been empty
period,
for
right,
a
that it
couple
It's 2
kinda-
years.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yep, it's 2 years.
Hi, so I'd like to speak. I'm the current owner, the personal representative for the business there. And I have made sales like within the past 3 months there.
You're the current owner that's selling the property.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know, I didn't want to open it up
It
to
looks pretty abandoned, to be honest, with you. I was down there.
because I know we ran into that before in a previous case.
I considered it abandoned. That's why I sent it to the board.
Hmm.
Plus it was a change of use. You know?
Do you know, well, I guess it doesn't have any utilities or anything running out there, because are there any bills or anything that we could use to prove?
That's possible. I'm sure they have continual.
Yeah, I have the bills, yeah.
I'm sure they do.
Okay. Because I guess that would be, that's the only thing I was wondering, if it's abandonment, then it goes
The
back to
change, the change
original.
of use is coming here anyway.
Okay,
And under 240-30D, it clearly states mobile homes or commercial vehicles being parked there. So nothing can be parked outside.
there any, I guess the only thing I would think with the change of use would be like anything, would they need to have anything for oil and stuff like that, as far as like a,
Yeah, so it's for storing inside the building. you mean?
yeah, like a
so
drain
new-
or
new
something
New
to,
construction, you need a water oil separator at
Yeah.
the overhead door. This right here, you know, technically, if they have, I don't know if there's an oil water separator now. I'm not sure. There
I
could
do
be,
not know.
Yeah, at that door.
Cynthia, do you know that?
Then not also need some type of storing vehicles, gasoline indoors, a fire suppression,
They do have it. It's fully sprinkled.
all code.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, look, we don't get into on existing buildings, they're required to have a test every year of the fire alarm and sprinkler system. So they are obligated to do that. And that's they file that with the fire department because it's an existing building. New buildings go through the building department. Existing ones get regulated every year through the fire department. And they normally do. I'm sure it's up to par. Otherwise, the fire department is on that. It's all computerized, so it automatically comes up. If they're not
to know.
in compliance, they get a letter.
and you said, Peter, there's not really, because that was the other, that there's wouldn't be any other parking, or you said there's not really space to add parking.
Well, actually, there's a decent amount of space on the lot to park outside, but part of the 240-30 mobile homes, campers, commercial vehicles cannot be parked outside.
Yeah.
And I still look at this building with high doubt that you're gonna get even a boat be able to back in and make that turn into the building. It's a long building, but narrow, and the door is on the narrower side. I don't,
I would say this property does kind of have a hardship. It is in the floodplain. There's not a lot of uses that can go on this property.
Is that, oh, so that's the brook coming around?
That whole area is in a flood area. I mean, it probably backs up to some of the, I don't know if there's any residents here, but there is a floodplain involved here. So there's not a lot of options for this property. So it's there and it does need a use, but you know, what the correct use is. I mean, that's up to you.
What's the, so Peter was mentioning, what is the variance then that they need or that they're seeking?
Well, actually, that was kind of in the alternative. If the board found that this was not a substantially similar use, we were asking for an alternative of variance. But I don't think that's really the route to go. I think this is a substantially similar use and not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Because again, it's going to be a seasonal, bringing vehicles in and out. And then in the spring and fall, we bring them out, excuse me, in the spring, they bring them out, fall, we bring them in. So the proposed use is, I would suggest, going to be certainly less detrimental than what has been there before, which was an ongoing business.
so it is just a single special permit for the change, extension, alteration. Okay,
That's what we're looking
all
at.
right, so we have to do a hardship.
anyone else on the board?
I would suggest that, I don't think we necessarily need hardship, but I would suggest also that the hardship is what can this be used for in the future?
It's definitely an irregular
Right.
property.
And we've got, you know, a situation where the state has owned the property, they've run a business out of there for in excess of 40 years. And
Has the same owner, how many times has the property changed ownership?
I believe it's the same one.
I believe it's the same owners, and those are the people that ran the business. And again,
Okay.
Christine, if I'm misspeaking on any of these facts, please let me know. But I believe it's the same owner that's been there.
Oh, that is correct. My parents owned the business and their parents owned it prior to them. They bought it from their parents,
Okay,
from my father's side.
all right, thank you.
Mhm.
What do you think? Should we open it up to the public? Any?
I'm fine here. I would suggest we open it.
I have a question, if I may. Are you making any changes to the property?
No external
Anything?
to the changes to the exterior of the building, and very minimal, well, I would say very minimal to the interior.
And anything with maintenance of the outside, kind of, you know, if it's overgrown or anything like that?
Well, then you'll
Take care of that.
Yeah, you'll certainly fix it up and make it look nice, yeah.
Okay, I'll open.
One
Oh,
more question. Go ahead.
yeah, Jason.
Have you reached out to the fire department at all about this use that you're proposing and what their thoughts?
I
would
haven't
be?
spoken to the fire.
Oh,
Oh, that's a good question,
Just
actually.
general, yeah.
Because like you were saying, I mean, if they're, yeah,
You get gas motors in there,
that's a good question.
there's gotta be a regulation fire department has to have for that.
Yeah, they're only allowed to store so many gallons, and if they were gonna store more over the gallonage, they would have to get a special permit, and that's regulated by the fire department.
So the fire department's gonna get involved in this regardless.
And I have one question. The amount of vehicles would be limited to the area that you have within the building, correct?
Yeah. And the type, certainly, to your point.
I just don't wanna see this, be honest with you, this being approved and, oh, we can't get these inside, so we're gonna fill this lot up with storage of RVs.
Interior,
Exterior.
exterior, no, well, certainly a condition the board can put no exterior parking of vehicles, and that's, we're
I
fine
mean,
with that.
because
It's not-
you've definitely got a neighborhood here. I don't know if there are any children there or not, but, young boys and young girls are gonna play, they're gonna roam, and,
Understood.
that can become an issue.
Mhm.
Do what you gotta do.
Okay. I'll open it up to the public then. If anyone, any neighbors or any other residents have any comments, just state your name and address.
My name's Charlene Lamandy. I live at 82 Pine Road. I am right on that street.
Which, Oh, okay, I can see you're on 82. So you're kind of, there's a house in front of yours, there's a buffer between you and the property.
There is, that
Okay.
has very young children.
Oh, at that property,
At
okay.
that property,
That's
That's
good.
right. Right on the side of it.
Yeah, you're right in the middle, right?
Yeah,
How
So
long
I
have you lived at the property?
since 96.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been there a very long time. So a couple questions I have is what are the hours of operation? When it was LG, they had, their hours were, by a certain time, there was no more traffic on the road. So what are the hours gonna be?
Would that just be per the town?
Oh, we can stipulate that.
We can
actually.
stipulate
Well,
Okay,
yeah, I mean,
that's true.
there can be operation hours, and the town's exterior work and stuff like that doesn't regulate a whole lot. It's,
Noise, that's about it.
it's like
Yeah.
8 AM to 9 PM, except for holidays and Sunday, I think it's 6 PM or something like that. So exterior, for any kind of job site or anything, it's pretty wide open, but if the applicant has a set of hours that the board can maybe take a look at and see what they're proposing.
Yeah, I would suggest 8 AM to 6 PM. And on Sundays, I'm not sure we're gonna be doing anything on Sundays, but I would suggest on Sundays, maybe noon time to 6 PM.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yeah.
May I ask you a question? Obviously, you live there. How was the traffic with the last, and when was the last time that you've seen traffic coming and going from there?
So from the tractor trailer trucks that used to come down there, it's been a very long time.
Okay.
From my part of the road, it was pretty, when they came down, they were pretty careful with the people that live there. I don't know the words I'm trying to say.
That's fine.
But I can say, making the corners to come onto that road,
Mhm.
and they can attest to that too, is there was an issue
Took
with
down
the
the
trucks.
fence, the neighbor across the street
Yes.
took down their fence.
Tractor trailers are
Tractor
coming down.
trailers coming down.
Yeah, That's it's very
So-
narrow, so,
Yeah, I'll talk next.
yeah, so I'll let them, so I have not had any property damage or anything like that. And it was between the hours of 8 and 5 when it was done, so as far as that goes, and not on weekends, so,
No activity on the weekends for the
not,
previous.
not for the business, no.
I can see activity you want to happen on the weekends. People bring their boats or RVs on Saturday to store it.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
John Lowe, 80 Pine Grove Ave. I'm the corner house. One on the end, it's actually on Pine Grove. One of my questions is, it's an easement, this road. Who owns this road?
So easements are written different ways. So if the easement is written to the warehouse owner, the language is recorded at the registry of deeds. And I don't know if it goes across all your properties or not. It kind of looks that way, looking at the mass interactive maps. Maybe
All three of the
Mr. Kenny,
properties are on
if you know.
Well, I can say I haven't done a title examination of the property, but I do have a copy of the deed.
Also, the tractor trailers were barely able to fit down this road multiple times. My neighbor's fence was taken down. Mine was hit so many times when I first moved in 2003. I decided to just take it down. Multiple times, these tractor trailers would make it onto my lawn, sometimes into my driveway to make the corner. So I know there's no way that an RV can get down there. That's a certain length. Fire trucks have trouble. You have to come in from one direction, from the Muron side. Otherwise, you'll never make the corner.
So it doesn't sound like the nature of this business is even going to include tractor trailers.
Well, it looks like that'll be over.
Yeah.
I do worry about the traffic, however. The road is narrow. It doesn't fit 2 cars down it at once. And it has no drainage. It floods. Who owns this road and who's going to take care of it now that we have a new business coming down?
Well, again, I'm looking at the deed and the deed description, legal description reads together with all the right title and interest in and to a certain way, 20 feet in width, extending northerly from Pine Grove Avenue for a distance of 303.83 feet along the easterly boundary of the aforesaid Lavallee land. Said Lavallee land being a part of the lot number 26 on the aforesaid plan, said right of way to be used and enjoyed in common with others entitled thereto. So it appears that they do own that property. It reads, including the right of way to lay, repair, and maintain a certain underground water pipe through and from the adjoining premises to Robert J. Goulin and Rita C. Goulin. So here's, they do own that property. If they do, they will certainly be maintaining it to the degree that they need to maintain it.
Is there a dimension on that?
20 feet wide.
20 feet wide?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's by the
They own a
303.
20-foot strip all the way down. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause my house, right in front of my house, it floods. It goes halfway up my driveway, and I've been trying to get it looked at for a long time, and the town finally told me that LG owned the road, so.
That whole area is a very low area.
Yeah, but I mean, it just in front of my driveway.
Do you have flood, do you have to have flood insurance on your house?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole, that, a good portion of that whole area is in the floodplain. So most of them probably have flood insurance as well. It is a low area, even though the area around the building, I mean, it is asphalt around the building. I don't know how far around the back it goes, but it's pretty much all one elevation, so it is probably subject to flooding a lot when we do get heavy rains. It's probably always done it, you know. I don't know what the solution to it is. I know the road going in is in disrepair. It's got a lot of.
It has been repaired.
Oh, it has been repaired.
It has been patched, it's been well patched.
Okay.
Yes.
Repair implies permanent.
So someone's maintaining it.
I guess that's what I was curious about, is that I don't know if your client, if there's anything they could do to look into,
I
anything they
think
could do to
as-
improve
as
the
As
road.
a new owner of the property, they're gonna want to make it as attractive as possible for people to bring it down and store vehicles. I mean, I think the thought is kind of, again, these are maybe classic vehicles along that line, so they're gonna wanna make it, they don't wanna have a rough road going down to it, so. Again, if Mr. Bethany purchases the property, I think he'd be certainly happy to meet with Davis and try to appease their concerns with regards to, you know, their driveways. They're all entitled to use the property, this existing right of way, so I would suggest he's gonna do the right thing with regards to that.
So what happens like during the winter time with snow? Who do you wait for them to?
So sometimes there have been town trucks that come down, but very rarely.
Okay.
Sand.
Yeah.
We don't plow, they just sand.
Sometimes there's a pickup truck that comes down
We
with a
pick
plow.
it up with plows.
So I don't know who it is. Other times we plow our driveway and out we go.
So that road is the only road into your driveway?
That's correct.
So you have an easement on their property?
Yeah.
Probably.
And well, yeah, the deed, again, together with all right type, let me see, including, and it talks about
I'd be curious to what's on their deed.
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's gonna be the same thing.
So your biggest or would you just kind of say your general area main concerns would be is the like the hours of operation and
Operation,
noise,
noise, who's taking care of
traffic?
the traffic, yep. And what's going to be parked on the outside? People will be coming down all times of the hours, right?
Because I would definitely agree with
And
you,
there is
Peter,
kids
that
on
we
the street,
stipulate.
so
My concern would be the exterior storage of any vehicles.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, kids are gonna play. And
Yeah,
if, you know, they're gone on a Sunday or Friday night, kids are gonna play. They're gonna get down in there. Kids are kids.
Well, it's already been stipulated there'd be no outside storage, so.
Yeah.
okay. Is there any other neighbors or residents that would like to speak? Yep, just your name and address.
Ralph Kidder, 131 Huron. I'm actually on the opposite side of the property. And much to your thought, right? When this building first became available, I actually looked at the building because I was thinking something along similar lines of doing storage in it. And I did the mathematics on it. I did the mathematics on the building. And financially, it wasn't going to support interior storage, right? So I was considering the idea of whether or not I would do something outside. Didn't think that that type of thing would get approved. So for me, my biggest concern when I saw the initial application was used car sales, which they've now removed, right? If that gets, because nobody wants a used car lot, particularly in a neighborhood like that. And then the other thing is obviously nobody wants to be looking at boats that are shrink wrapped and things like that. If the business owner wants to try and do that and do all interior storage, that's completely on him, but I'm with you. There's no way the larger vehicles are gonna get inside there, larger boats on trailers, right? It just doesn't support it. But as long as it's not used cars, and as long as it's not exterior storage, I feel a lot better about it. It's not on my street, I back up to it, but I would certainly have the concern, and that whole area, right? Because of the dead end road on Huron, the dead end there, they, as neighbors, I will tell you, I thought were perfect, right? I hardly even knew that those folks were in there, so it wasn't a big concern. But the biggest thing of opening up a business where people are gonna be coming and going to it is the fact that Huron's a dead end and their road is a dead end. It constantly, if I had $1 for every time someone came up and figured out the road was a dead end and I turned around in my driveway to go the opposite way, I could sell the house or retire, right? There's constantly, so it's a bit of a concern opening it up to more traffic that's gonna be, transient, not used to the area. But again, my biggest concerns, used cars and outdoor storage. And as long as those are banned, and it's written that they can't do that, I don't wanna see it. Oh, we did the interior storage, but then there's a hardship because it won't financially support itself, so we need to branch into the outside, right? And then it would be too late.
Yeah, we, as a town or an enforcement officer, we'd have to enforce in that too.
Tim's good with that.
I have a question for the applicant. Are you gonna have people go in there viewing the vehicles, or is this just for storage?
Viewing the vehicles? No, again, the purpose being that storage, seasonal type storage. So I guess if during the winter, someone wanted to go down and check on their vehicle, they would do that or could do that, but it's not like people are gonna be coming and looking at vehicles. No sales at all.
Is it gonna be a conditioned space?
A what?
Like heated and cooled, or no? I imagine it's just.
I don't, other than what's in there now.
I think it is heated now because it does have a sprinkler system. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's probably gas heaters in there.
His plan is not to really do too much to the exterior, the interior of the building or the exterior of the building, other than maybe make it look a little nicer. It's kind of overgrown right now, so.
And if we approve this, Tim, there's not, I mean, it looks like with the lot, that's not like they could expand the building at all. It's pretty.
No, you can't. It's in the floodplain. You can't expand it all.
Okay.
No, they won't let you.
Is the applicant actually here?
No, he's not here right now.
Well, one of the other questions I had, if we're doing RV and boat and motorcycle and classic car, is it gonna be something that the customers are gonna be allowed to enter and access as they please? Something where the applicant's gonna be on site to move vehicles in and out himself? I just curiosity, 'cause I mean, you got someone down in the back and they want their vehicle out, and now we're making all kinds of noise, moving 10 vehicles to get one out.
Right. Haven't discussed that with him. Again, he's away right now. He was hoping to be here, but the first meeting that continued, so he's not able to be here tonight. I don't know the answer to that question.
He wasn't here last time either.
Yeah.
As a neighbor, right?
So we could've done this
I had
last time.
canceled business trips to be here for the last time, and then he was up in Maine and he couldn't make it down for it. And I got that, I felt very disrespected, right? But the fact that I'm here for the second time and he can't be here does not bode well for a really good neighbor.
Well,
Just my opinion.
He was gonna be here for the first,
Yep.
but he can't be here right now.
You should have directed all towards the board.
Oh, no, I was.
But, I
He
mean-
answered me.
Yeah,
So you should tell him, he should be directing it to you.
okay.
I just made my comment. I said, as a neighbor, I don't get a good feeling from someone who, twice, this wasn't important enough for him to be here. It was important enough for me to be here. And I wasn't speaking to him, I was speaking to you.
No, yeah, and I totally understand where you're coming from. Any other thoughts from the board?
You kind of made a good point, so he's gonna need to do some outside staging to get some cars around, so.
We're gonna want to put vehicles outside.
Right.
Like I feel.
Yeah, so
But you think that'll be, so they'll have to do the shuffle whenever a customer needs to get to a vehicle.
Sure.
Yeah.
That building's not that big.
Yeah,
I mean,
He may have some ideas that he may want to cut in 2 more garage doors to make it more accessible. I
Well,
don't
that's
know.
what would be,
I don't know what his plan
it'd be
is,
nice
but
to know what
he
the
probably
plans are
would.
for
I mean,
the
if he's gonna
building.
store boats in there, like you said, to get it in that one door, maybe I'm sure he could cut a couple of more doors on the face of that building to make it more accessible. You know, that would be just part of his business plan, I guess, you know, if he's planning on altering it or not, I mean, that would just be, he'd have to come in for a building permit for it.
But at this point, obviously, they're looking at purchasing the property, so they want to go through
They
this
want-
to see whether or not it's
whether
worth
they can
going
do
to
what they
that.
want.
But as a board, wouldn't we want to know what the plans are for the building?
Well, we can obviously ask. Yeah. Okay. Is that something your client would be amenable towards, at least kind of
What would that?
maybe giving a further level of detail about with your potential storage with the customers, if there is going to be kind of the shuffle with different clients, about how that kind of sequencing would work, and about maybe, I mean, just a broad kind of brushstrokes about
Logistics of it.
the logistics, like if they are doing, you know, anything besides just, you know, small motorcycles, that what would they be looking to do on the front or on the exterior as far as
I think he'd be happy.
any added doors or, okay.
And I can only speak for myself, I would like to have further details of the plans and full intended use, not just storage of vehicles.
And we do appreciate I mean, it seems like, to me at least, that not having to deal with the auto sales is a huge step in the right direction, at least. But I think I'm on board with that, to get further detail to see exactly how the logistics, and I guess that goes towards the operation. What are the hours of operation gonna be like? What's it gonna look like for the neighbors?
Yep.
If they had to deal with that.
Speaking of the hours of operation, I would like to limit the hours of operation. I feel during the week, that's fine, but on Saturdays and Sundays, I think just like from 8 to 1 or 8 to noon time would be better for the neighbors than Sunday, all day Saturday and Sunday, 12 to 6.
Arthur, I can agree with that for the neighbors, but I like, I like both sides of every story. If the intended use is for Ray to come down and store his boat on a Saturday, and they've only got a 4-hour window to do it, it's gonna be a hectic 4 hours during the busy seasons. I think the bulk of this operation, because typically guys work, women work, it's gonna happen on the weekends. I think that's where you're gonna see the bulk of the traffic.
Yeah, but it's like you say, it's only a 9,000 square foot building. There's not gonna be hundreds of cars in
You're
there,
right.
so that's gonna be minimal traffic and in and out with the vehicle. So in sympathy to the neighbors, I like just a half a day on Saturday and in the mornings, and same on Sunday.
So just to make it clear, so you're looking for more of like kind of an operational agreement, what his operation is gonna be, his policies for his customers, as far as when they can come and that kind of thing, is that what you're looking for?
We've done this for other businesses that have proposed such things. Detail of what they're gonna do. I'll give you, for instance, the place of Pulaski Boulevard for the septic systems.
Preferred pump?
No,
ADC.
ADC.
Oh, okay.
Came with a very detailed plan of the operation of that business.
And he did have kind of where he said where the office would kind of be on the
A very
building.
detailed layout for us to make.
He said there'd be like one big,
Yep.
as far as which doors he would kind of have for vehicles and, yeah.
So I'd like to have details of,
For further details, if there's gonna be any additional garage doors, the logistics of the operation. Proposed hours, I know there's been talk about, limiting on Saturday and Sunday, I mean. That may be fine, I can certainly speak. Continue the hearing, I can
and I think the neighbors deserve that as well.
have Mr. Bethany here.
Maybe
Yeah, so those
his
specific
policy,
questions.
his policy to his customers, when
Sure.
they can come, yeah, yep.
I make a motion to continue to the
If-
October
if-
6th.
Yeah, is it the
Yeah,
6th?
If I may, would it be acceptable to have any other members of the public voice their concerns tonight, so that we know if there's any other issues that are out there?
Sure. I'll open up. Yeah, is there anyone else in the public? Just your name and address?
Charles Johnson, 120 Pine Grove Ave. I was wondering if there going to be any repairs. It's a building vehicles are gonna be there, they could be doing repairs. Is it gonna be written in stone that they cannot repair a car? Guy wants to change his oil in his classic car, change batteries, no, there could be some amount of repairing going on behind closed doors. And this is the place, I guess, to allow or not allow it.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think, and I don't know, but for the, I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, but we'd be looking for storage only, so we try to stipulate that there would not be any automotive repair work or any repairs done on the property, but I guess as far as enforcement, I guess it would just be up to the neighbors to.
Most
Let the
important,
town
nothing
know.
outside.
Yeah, most,
Right.
but if it's kind of hard to enforce,
That's-
how do I word it? Almost like a not for hire type service. If a guy's in there changing his own oil in his own machine,
That's kind of tough because, I mean, I think,
you're never gonna be able
at
to
some
enforce
points, they're
that.
gonna have to pull batteries in and out of vehicles, the light, maybe something associated with the nature of the business would be allowed, not
But I
not
think
an auto repair business.
We'd have to
Right.
stipulate that no repair service being done.
I can tell you that the plan is not to have anyone doing repairs for profit within this building. I mean, you raise a good point. If someone needs to change oil.
But I
needs
can,
to change a
with that
battery.
said though, too, I can also see guys with custom cars, classic cars and motorcycles wanting to be in there during the winter to do their upgrades and.
And
So-
I think that kind of stuff can be addressed with him submitting the end users policy.
Yeah.
of, what the people can and can't do.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, is there anyone else in the public that would like to be heard?
Motion's on the table, I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It is October 6th, correct?
It would be, yeah, to continue to October 6th,
7 PM.
7 PM.
October 6th, yeah.
Thank you. And thank you to all the neighbors and residents that came out to speak. We certainly
Yes, thank you.
are trying to find the right balance, and we certainly, can understand where you're coming from, and we want to preserve the character of the neighborhood and not cause anything detrimental. So, and also appreciate you guys taking the time to come out, because I know personally it's not easy to come out every time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is 34 Phillip Drive. I'll make a motion to open the hearing. Okay. All those in favor?
Folks, we still have a meeting going on? If you could, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Aye. If you could just let us know your name and.
My name is Julie Griffin. I live at 34 Phillip Drive. My wife Tiffany Griffin, she lives at 34 Phillip Drive as well.
Oh, where's Tiffany? Is she? Okay. Hi.
If you could speak up a little louder.
You don't have to, only if you want to, but whoever would like to
I'll be doing
speak
most
on
of
your
it,
behalf, yeah, that's fine.
And some of it from here. So thank you for listening to my appeal for a special use permit. I'm a little nervous, so forgive me if I stutter a little bit.
That's all right.
But what I'm seeking is to use part of my house to board dogs. And I kind of gave you guys some very specific information about the business, because my intent is to work with our neighbors, because I know the neighbors have some concerns about the barking. And so I'm asking to not board more than 7 dogs, with an additional stipulation of no more than 7 days in a row. Typical times that may happen would be like on school vacation. When you get to school vacations, a lot of my clients have kids and they go on vacation during that time.
May I ask, what is your primary business? Because I know obviously it's with animals, with dogs, but I mean, are you primarily a dog walker or a groomer or?
I am primarily a retail worker.
Would that be, I mean, is that in, so you're a retail worker, but you also do work with
So,
animals?
Yeah, so for me specifically, I have a full-time job.
Okay.
My wife is actually on retired disability, so she stays at the house.
Okay.
So I also, like, in terms of just some of this information that I've looked up since this kind of came to the full front with my neighbor. Like, there's concerns about making sure that the area in the backyard is clean and that the animal poop is picked up. That's something that's done on a regular basis, more than once a day. Yeah, people that just basically come drop their dog off and leave it up there. And then come pick the dog up at whatever time they agreed upon in our reservation.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so basically the clients will just drop their dog off at the boarding and then they just come back at the time that we agree on for the pickup. So sometimes I'll have a dog that stays overnight one night. Sometimes I'll have a dog that I think the longest I've ever had a dog is like 15 days. I also have my own dog. He basically I have a kind of split house situation, which you can see in the plans. Like, I have a separate section of the house. It's basically just set up like a giant living room.
And that other section, the dog boarding area,
Yeah.
that's what's been used as kind of your boarding. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just set up like a regular living room. Clients come over, we hang out with the dogs there, let them on the backyard, play, do their business, come back in. We don't do any walking around the neighborhood or anything like that. We just solely use the backyard for the boarding.
Then it's fenced.
Yep.
It's a fence
So
back
the
there.
back part and the side parts have a 6-foot privacy fence. And then there's a little front section that had a chain link fence. But when I heard that one of the neighbors concerned about barking early in the morning, I actually tried to help out with that by buying some ivy that would cover that fence, because we live on a U, so we do get dogs that walk down our street, like from the neighborhood, so they'll walk down and around. So obviously when the dog sees another dog, they'll bark. Trying to help with them being able to see the other dogs. But also dogs smell, so my dogs are good at smelling something going on. They'll do a couple barks type of thing. But otherwise, yeah, it's all fenced in. It's safe.
And so per the bylaw, you're allowed 4 animals, right? So you would be looking for special permit for 3.
Actually, I need to question that. And I know that's what has come across this board several times.
It says 3 in the book.
It says 3 in the book,
It
yeah.
says 3 in the book, but Bruce's regulation, is that where the 4 came from?
Yeah, the 4 is the current regulation. It's statewide more than local, but people are allowed to have 4 dogs now.
All right, I'll change what my book says.
Yeah,
I brought that up, I'm like,
I think
4.
I think they're in the process.
Mine's
updating
crossed out
already,
in my
so-
book and says 4.
Are there any other animals? Because that would include you don't have any cats or anything like that.
No, I just have one dog right now.
Okay. And Bruce, I guess you've done, what are your kind of your comments, I guess, or anything to the board from just seeing the
It's-
premises and kind
You
of,
know, the big thing is the cleanliness, you know, that the yard is picked up, that there's no manure stored within so many feet of the property line. It's picked up, a happy dog isn't gonna bark, so I mean, you know, you can't just put the dog, let it stay outdoors, it's gotta have a playmate or it's gotta be attended to. You know, you put a dog outside and it's abandoned or it's left there, it's gonna bark because it's gonna wanna come in, or it's gonna want to be fed, or it's bored or something like that, so my big concern would be, you know, if there were several dogs left outdoors for the duration of the day. I had a kennel over in Blackstone, we had 14 dogs, so we put maybe 4 out at a time for a period of 2 hours and then brought them in, but there was always somebody on the premises. I hear that she's working or she's at home, so that's a positive thing that, you know, there's somebody there, so if the dogs do get obnoxious or barking, somebody can attend to it. It's nothing worse than a barking dog in the neighborhood, you know, that's.
so I guess the other question I would have is that because you said this is kind of in addition to your full-time job.
Mhm.
Could you speak to kind of the, I guess, almost like the hardship, or like what is the real necessity for needing to do this? Because I understand, like, I'm sure you enjoy doing it, that.
Yeah, so as I alluded, my wife is on retired disability, so that income is not there that we would have otherwise. Also currently have my sister-in-law living with me with her 20-month-old baby. So just trying to keep some income coming in, having extra income on the side, so we need to take care of anything, we need to take care of something.
Okay. And I do want to say that a lot of times with these cases, the hard thing that we always weigh as a board is that it's not that we're not sympathetic to you and your wife and your family situations, but we're always trying to balance it with the neighborhood and the, you know, what you want, but also what kind of the neighbors should kind of expect as far as the impact to the whole neighborhood.
And actually kind of just speak to what he was saying earlier. So one of the things about all of our dogs, first of all, they're all indoor dogs. So they're never outside ever if one of us isn't home. So we never leave them outside and just go out and do something else. We don't like excessive barking either. So if we hear excessive barking, we bring them inside. Now, there may be different times where they bark because they're playing, because they're running around the yard. But we don't bring them in for those reasons, but if they are excessive barking, then we do bring them in because we don't like it.
So we do have our animal control officer here. Patrick, would you like to? You have anything to add?
Patrick Keller, one of the animal control officers. It's been an ongoing issue for the neighbors. We thought originally during the pandemic, when it started, we got really get the phone calls in. We thought we had it taken care of, that, you know, it was her dog with a playmate. It came to fruition this year after confronting her that she was running a business the entire time. We have multiple complaints from 2020 on. I know the gentleman next door, I don't know who it is over there, works during the night and sleeps during the day. We drove up there, I get the dog barking. There is no bylaw for how long a dog can bark. Franklin has one, we don't. So there's no bylaw for that, but at the same time, you're in a community, if you have 7 dogs out there at one time, and I mean, as a neighbor, I get it. But like I said, from 2020, multiple complaints, I'd say up to 20, easy. It's just not a very good situation.
Well, I know the other concern that I would have is that we've had other applicants for a special permit for a kennel where they have their own animals. So I know, like, if I was a neighbor, I'd say, well, if you're doing a business, you can't really guarantee it because you're going to have different animals that come and go. And that would also give me.
Right.
That's the
We're running
other.
into this issue even more in this town now, because people are using certain businesses like Rover to get business into their homes, which is, I understand, you know, that's a great way to get it in. But at the same time, like you said, you can't control these dogs. They're not your dogs. They're not to your command all the time. You know, I'm a German Shepherd owner. My dog doesn't make a sound if I'm home. You know, I mean, so who's to say that, you know, she gets 7 dogs in there, her dog's quiet, you know, 2 others are quiet, but the rest of them are just barking all night long.
So I guess another question would be, Tim, is that if they were, and I'm not, you know, it would obviously, but it would be whatever you were looking to do. But if they were to say they want to run a kennel and you only have 1 dog and they want to do 3 dogs at a time, is that, do you still need a special permit?
Yeah, in the book, it's by
If
Board
it's
of
a
Appeals
business,
for anything.
okay.
The definition of kennel, if you look under the definition of kennel, you know, it describes what their business is, and it's not allowed in a residential area.
I know the other thing when I was talking to Jim about it, was he was saying about that it has to be, you know, if it's accessory to the main use.
Yeah. So is it, you know, is the accessory use, you know, that's the question here. They're coming for a special permit. Is the accessory use too intrusive?
So if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
And I'll just be right up front with you. One of the issues I have when some of these cases come up is you're here because you got caught doing it. Instead of being forthright, when you wanted to open the business, come to apply for it. Now we got a whole room of upset neighbors that have been complaining for a couple of years. So that, you know, beforehand.
Yep.
reading some of the notes and neighbors and stuff, I'm quite concerned about the noise level. The other thing I look at is, it clearly states in our zoning bylaw, there's zone residential, the animal kennel is not allowed.
Yeah,
It's black and white, 240-31.
which I think in our criteria, that's why, I mean.
Yep, and you're using the Rover app, and I know for boarding my own animals, every time we board them, we have to have all the medical information with them.
What's the Rover app? I guess I don't.
It's, believe it or not, they have an app for using swimming pools. You can rent out your swimming pool. As stupid as it sounds. It's an app that people can go on and say, I'm busy today. Let me find a place to drop my dog off.
Okay.
Now, those people coming in with all the medical information criteria for their dogs. Don't know.
I will say, our use chart, it's actually not allowed, so it's actually a use variance is what, you know. This would be a use variance. If you look at the chart, it says no.
It says no.
Yeah.
That's why I want, and that's why I
So-
question
So it would be.
a variance,
It
not a
would be
special
a
permit.
use variance,
Yeah.
really. The other thing is, look, we have several businesses in town that operate a kennel, and they're in a business district or an industrial. You know, we have down the plaza, there is some, there is a dog racing.
Stonehill down there,
Yeah.
Camp Bow Wow,
Yeah.
off of Maple.
That's in the industrial zone, you know, so they're in the correct zones for that.
We have had one that was in residential, but it was also grandfathered.
But that was Cranberry Meadow
That's
Court.
Cranberry Meadow, which-
Puddle Brook or whatever. They
Yeah, they're
did,
no longer there.
yeah, they
They
just
actually
sold.
sold the house, so the license is gone.
Your license is
And
gone,
it
yeah,
won't be renewed, yeah.
which is, they were great people down there, but yeah.
So, yeah, that was a grandfather use.
Was
That was
grandfathered.
grandfathered there. Old kennel.
Question,
Sure.
Tim, so the kennel use is allowed by special permit if it's not commercial?
It's
I was curious
allowed
about
in
that, too.
certain zones, the kennel use. I think it's in the use.
I have right
don't
here.
have my book.
Jim was saying that the commercial or not, that it's not a
Can I-
deciding factor if it's for profit or not.
Because the reason I ask is because we've had people come before us for kennel for special permits within a residential. area.
That was for their own dogs. Remember the pugs that came in?
Right.
That was,
That was their
that's-
own dogs,
that
right?
was like
No,
Potter
no.
Circle or in that
That was,
area.
Yeah, that was Blanche, Roland Blanche away, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
off
there's
of
a
Hickson's Street.
distinction
Yeah.
within the bylaws between a commercial kennel versus.
Yeah, that wasn't a commercial kennel. That was their own dogs. He just had more dogs than the regulation allowed. He had, I think, 6 pugs or something like that.
Because the way I read it, a kennel is a kennel. It's just the number of dogs, right?
In
So
the
it doesn't matter
definitions.
if it's commercial or.
That's what Jim.
Well, I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think a kennel is a kennel, but then we get into the use variance of a business. Of running a kennel as a business in that zone.
Oh, so you're saying if it goes into the business, then it goes to if it's accessory.
I
or not
believe
for
so,
the
yes.
primary.
Because a kennel can only be granted in B1, B2, or I, industrial,
Right.
with a board approval.
So technically, this is a use variance.
So it's technically a variance,
Yeah,
not a
It's
special
a
permit.
use variance. It's not allowed in residential or suburban,
Or agriculturally, if that matter.
which is kind of odd.
I know.
I saw that.
If you look if that's on 240-31.
Well, so it says animal kennel, it's S and R, right? That would be the.
Where's
Yeah,
it's
by
240
by
one?
special permit.
Suburban and residential.
240-31.
By special permit.
I'm
240.
We have general use regulations 240-31 DA.
Yeah.
Animal kennel, BA, S and R. BA means by special permit.
Yeah, BA in B1 and B2.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, isn't it? SNR says no.
Mine says no.
This might be an all over.
Yeah, are you looking at this is what you're looking at, right?
Yep. That's all I have to go by.
So let's look at the one on 240-31.
Oh, God, that print's small.
So it has to look at it, doesn't have it. B1, B2 and industrial only.
Do we want to open to the public while we're,
Well, if you
or
don't
do you want
mind,
to keep
let's-
going?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you want the time, that's fine. Yeah, I just want to let the public know too, we know that you're waiting and that we want to hear what you have to say. We just like to go talk amongst ourselves and review it first.
Interesting. So I, yeah, do you want to sir? Yeah.
What are you saying, Brian?
So the material that Jim had circulated concerning the use schedules is different than the, at least, I'm assuming the online zoning bylaws are the most current. So the information that Jim circulated.
It says by BA.
By special permit. This, the one online, 240-31, it says, where is it?
You have B1,
The
B2,
animal
or
kennels,
industrial.
no. So commercial kennels aren't allowed. So I wonder if there's a distinction with non-commercial.
Well, it has to be, because they're running a business out of the home.
I wonder if there's another somewhere in here.
On top of this, Tim, they would need to apply for a business permit to operate a
A
home
business
business.
certificate, yeah, so the business certificate, when people open businesses now, the banks require the business certificate to open an account, so we get a lot of the business certificates. And the certificate, what that does is, that forces the business owner to come to the department in the town, and they gotta come to me. I look at the type of business and I say, yes or no. I said, you can't do that there. Now, certain businesses are allowed in a residential area as long as it's not intrusive for the use. So our zoning says one light commercial vehicle for an accessory use to residential, and that's what these people come for. So that's how I regulate it.
It's like a contractor using his home office.
With a pickup truck.
He needs to have a
That's
business
that's
permit.
correct.
So here's the answer to the riddle. So commercial uses aren't allowed only if it's an accessory use. Then it's by special permit. So if this use is an accessory use,
Okay,
so that's why.
Which it is,
that's why Jim was
because the
saying.
primary use is residential.
Right, but then, but the determination of whether or not it's an accessory use is a percentage of the
Use of the
use.
property.
And if it's
Yeah.
more than a quarter, then it's not, it's a primary.
Which is why in the application, it's at the 25%.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
So the 23 by 23 area as it compares to the other livable space versus the backyard.
I was gonna say about the backyard, yeah, you
Yeah,
think it's part of
So I
that.
would have to do the math. Is your contention that it's less than 25% of the overall area of your home?
Yeah, the boarding part of it.
But the yard's being used as well. That has to be taken into factor.
So accessory use.
So do you feel it falls under the category, like Tim was saying, as a variance then, or is this kind of both? There's special permit
If
and,
it exceeds the 25%.
Yes, exactly. If it's an accessory use, then it's by special permit. So the first determination is it an accessory use?
okay,
If it's an accessory use, then they're certainly eligible to apply for a special permit. If it's beyond that, then it's a commercial use. Then it's interesting though, is it strictly a commercial use regardless, because it's not.
Because it's over 4 dogs, yes. So
Well,
that's kind of,
that's the threshold for a kennel.
well, that would constitute commercial, right, if it was over the amount of animals.
Well,
don't think so,
commercial,
because-
it'd be a combination of that and the fact that it's for hire,
For
it's for
profit.
profit. It's not,
I mean, let's.
I want
let's
10
face it,
dogs,
it's
I
a
love my
business.
dogs.
It's a
It's
business, you know, so.
So
It is
an
a-
accessory use is an activity incidental to and located on the same kind of premises as a principal use conducted by the same person or his agent. No use shall be considered accessory unless functionally dependent on and occupying less land area than the principal use to which it's related, and occupying less than 1/4 as much habitable floor area as the principal use. So it's strictly inside the home.
Is to have.
Does not include the yard.
Yeah, that's a
So-
very hard thing to, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, well, it's hard for us, I mean, how do you know how much space is being used?
Well, we
Like,
don't
yeah,
even have to
But
go.
that's what she's saying, there's, it must be an area for it, and they probably only let the dogs in that certain area in the house until they don't run over the house.
Yeah.
So,
If we were just going by square footage, though, the boarding area is 23 by 23, and if you add everything together, the living area is roughly 25 by 23, so it's certainly more than a quarter of the usable use.
You did the math that quick?
residential use. I've been sitting there quiet. So.
The second level.
I was gonna say, yeah, do you include the second floor
I was
then?
about to
I have
ask.
the second floor.
it would be total living area,
So it's
it
like,
wouldn't, unless it says footprint.
What about Brian, you were saying about that it's dependent upon, or what is that language again? That if it's an accessory, it is dependent on the primary?
Incidental to and located on the same premises as the principal use, yes, conducted by the same person, yes. No use shall be considered accessory unless functionally dependent on and occupying less land area than the principal use.
I would say it's not dependent on the principal use. You don't need to have the household there to have the boarding. Like it kind of, or
Yeah, and you just contradict yourself too.
Less functionally dependent on.
it's not dependent on it serving as a household. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Peter?
No, you said land. Overall,
Land area.
Land area,
Habitable floor area.
but you said land, so I was wondering if you just said.
Well, it's interesting, so. This is a horrible bylaw. No use shall be considered accessory unless functionally dependent on and occupying less land area than the principal use to which it is related, and occupying less than 1/4 as much habitable floor area as the principal use.
Okay, so it's talking inside and outside.
What bylaw number is that? So I can put my book.
240. 240-32.
Oh, the definition, the accessory is, yeah.
Okay.
So you, how big is your home, total square footage?
I think it's, so including that room? I think
Yeah,
it's
all
up to
in.
22.
2,200? All right, you did
Because
the
when I
math.
bought that house, that room.
Peter got the calculator there.
I'll do it, hold on.
So it's about 525 square feet or something like that, or 550 maybe? Would you say 2,200? Yeah, so 25% is 500, so it's 550 square feet.
Okay. That room is a little less than that.
Correct.
So indoor space, you're allowed 550 square feet designated for the use.
It's
Indoor.
23 by 23.
And then
times
outside,
23.
That size 123.
Tim?
It's right
there's-
under
there's
the
no
550,
definition as to
540.
lot size. It's just saying a portion or small, it's not the whole.
It says, what did it say? for
It
exterior
says,
land
it says
area?
it two different ways.
Yeah, the engineer side of me is kicking in here, and I'm trying to make a
The way
relationship.
Brian read it was, one was 25% of the
That's the floor
habitable
area.
Habitable
space,
space,
but
yep.
then there was one about land space.
Well,
No,
land
it's
space,
gotta
but-
it's gotta occupy less land area than the principal use, so it can't be the primary.
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
So they would have the area that they've got fenced in versus the area that they're using residentially.
Right. You can't have, say, a grocery store and one part of it is where your house is.
But if I'm interpreting that properly, and I know we're gonna get to folks like that. What you just brought up with the uses of the yard fall in the same category, that they can only use
No.
25% of the yard?
I didn't hear any, it just says less.
Less, yeah.
So I would say your 49% would be a safe number if it's less, right?
I would say it's probably less land area than the principal use. I would say that's probably true. Right? To which is related and occupying less than 1/4 as much habitable floor area as the principal use. So habitable living area. So we can, I guess, we're being technical because,
Oh, you're talking over my head.
no, so
It's to use objective criteria to kind of.
we try to be, it's no fun making these decisions and the rules help us figure out what to do. So that's why we're being technical. So if I look at the assessor's card. It'll tell us the habitable space, right? And then,
Oh, are you looking at the property?
yeah.
I'm glad you bring that up with you.
Which one is this? 34 Phillip?
Well, he's looking at it. How long have you owned this property?
Just since 2016.
16? And when did you start this? Boarding?
2018.
This listed as 1,344 square feet.
Yeah, because when I bought the house, that boarding area wasn't finished. It was just studs.
So we would add another 550 to that, that would still make it about 1,900 square
On
feet,
that,
correct?
I don't know what the dimension is of the garage, but I remember doing inspections there when you finished a big huge room with the garage, right? Yeah, I do remember that a couple of years ago. I don't know what the dimension of it, but it's over a garage, so it's probably 24.
23.2 by 23.2.
Probably.
That's what it says.
So it's
Oh, okay.
official occupancy space,
Okay.
because you inspected it.
Yeah, they finished it.
So roughly around 1,900 square feet if my math is correct.
So where are the dogs kept now in relation to that room?
In there.
Oh, in that room? Oh, okay.
Do you have this? Did you see this?
It's probably in the packet. I didn't notice the footprint, so.
It doesn't
Yeah.
tell me anything.
Probably not the updated plan of the finished room.
Yeah, 'cause- Oh, let me go to,
You want this, Tim?
Okay.
Okay. You can open that. when you're ready. I'm done.
So Zillow, for what it's worth, says 1,344 square feet.
That's what I saw, yeah. And they were saying that's not including how they finished the room above the garage.
Right, doesn't include updates. It's based on what was
We can look at
sold.
the assessors.
It doesn't give square footage, at least I don't. see
Oh,
it.
it doesn't?
I didn't see it.
Let me see if I can.
We can do the math.
Yeah, so it works out to about 1,900 square feet.
You're 34, right?
Yes.
Says 1,920 square.
Yes, it does. The CAI property card says it as well.
So it's just under 2,000 square feet.
Not that right, 1,900.
So
I
somebody
said
do
that
the
a
math.
half hour ago.
Well, now it's official. So that it's 1,900 square feet.
23.
20.2 by 23.
Yeah.
Or 550.
538.
So somebody divide 538 by 19.
1920. 0.28.
So it's 28%.
Well, because the other question I'd have, if you're getting that close to, is that dimension interior. You're not taking,
Yeah,
it
there's
should be
There's also,
exterior.
there's also a set of stairs in that you could extract technically.
I know, that's true too.
You know,
It's getting,
for floor area.
Right.
Because it does say by interior habitable space.
Oh, right.
It's already,
Yes,
it's already
right.
exceeding 25. It's at 28%.
Yeah, so you knock it down a little bit with a probably 9 foot by 9 times 3.5. That's 2730. There's
31.
minus 31 square feet off of that. So it's pretty close. I mean,
It's close to
yeah,
25.
it is.
what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
All right, so then do we consider it an accessory? The first question is accessory use or not? Seems like it's right on the edge.
It seems like it's right on the edge. Yeah.
So I think that's the threshold question. If it's accessory, then then we start to talk about special permit criteria.
I said it's close enough to consider it an accessory use.
And then in that case, it's allowed for anything but multifamily district. Is this considered in a multifamily district?
Yeah, so it's allowed by special permit from the zoning board.
Then my Brian's books is totally outdated.
No, it's right. It's just, that's for commercial, but down here, if it's an accessory use, somewhere around here, if it's accessory use, then it's and an accessory use is,
But still dumped back to animal kennel, because it is a commercial use.
only if it's the principal use. If it's an accessory use, you go to the other section.
So now.
There you go.
That means it can be, it's regulated by you. It wouldn't be a use variance,
It's not a use
the
variance.
way you're determining it now.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, animal kennels up here, yeah.
So we can
So
continue
it's a
then.
BA. So, okay. If the pleasure of the board, if the determination of the majority of the board is that it's an accessory use, then we move on. So I suggest we take a poll if people feel it's close enough to be an accessory use, or if it's above, and then we have nothing to talk about because it's not.
I
before.
say it's close enough for accessory.
What do you think?
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. It's on the board, on the line, but I think.
Okay.
All right, so, all right, so now we've gone past that. Now let's talk about
Special permit.
special permit.
Criteria for special permit.
Right.
So do we want to open it up to them?
Yeah.
I think so. All right, yeah, thanks everyone for your patience. I'll open it up to the public. Your name and address.
Wendy Mission, Phillip Drive. I'm so against this. This just disturbs me. I have, never mind matter of extra traffic coming through Phillip Drive, which is not exactly a very big street.
Where are you located in relationship
Right
to
on the
the?
corner
Yes.
of Farm and Phillip.
What number is again?
Eight. Eight,
So, oh yeah, you're right at the beginning.
yes.
Okay.
So you're now gonna have I don't care what you call a special use, you now have a commercial variance going on down there. You have people now are gonna be traveling down the street on a regular basis. They may have dogs being picked up every day of the week. Now we have the extra noise of all the dogs. And you're trying to tell me right now that this is an illegal business that's been going on there. And you're going to reward that business by allowing them to have this variance? All right, now they're saying they're gonna have 7 dogs in this business. I'm supposed to believe they're gonna have 7 dogs? I read that stuff online. There are 40 clients of theirs. They can have 12 dogs. Is that dog officer gonna check on them every single day to make sure there's only 7 dogs in that premises? I'm supposed to believe them after they've been breaking the law for this many years. Please take that into account. What's that do to the value of my property? Tell me what it does. Would you want it in your neighborhood?
And how long have, just out of curiosity?
21 years.
Wow, good for you. It's cool. Yeah, and I know, and I think, I mean, it's good that Peter mentioned that too. I know that I can understand that frustration. where-
I take that into deep consideration.
Yeah.
I really do,
Can I-
because hold on just a minute, you have been dealing with this for 4 years. This should have been in front of our board 4 years ago,
Yes.
so. I
And
do take that into
unfortunately
consideration.
too, that like with Tim or anyone else is that enforcement. It is, we try to put that into consideration too. Like, how do you monitor, how do you ensure that they only have 7 dogs? And you guys can complain and let the town know, but how is, Bruce or anyone else? He can't be going around all the time, obviously, to ensure that so we do try to be mindful of that or aware of it. And we appreciate your concerns and that. We also, for the special permit, the biggest thing, at least I weigh, and I think the board weighs, is the impact to the neighborhood. Will this be detrimental to the neighborhood? That we understand what you're looking to do, but we have to weigh it with the neighborhood and also what's fair for everyone else involved.
Do we have someone else?
Yes.
Just state your name. and your address.
20 Phillip Drive.
Where are you to the property, just out of curiosity?
Well, 20 feet away.
Are you from the
Yeah,
back?
yeah, the next to bottom. Okay.
Are you right behind it?
I'm right there.
So when you drive down, you on the curb, their house right behind.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you look, Google Earth, any kind of aerial shot, you will see how close my property is.
I can see.
My bedroom window is right on the other side of the fence where all these dogs are. And this, oh, they don't bark, couple minutes. Wrong. 6, 7 hours, starting at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. Police log right here, time and date stamp. I've sent several videos to the town, time and date stamped. This has been going on since 2018. This is nothing new. Knowing it's illegal. Ignoring police, animal control, they know they're pissing me off. And now, if they succeeded, they want to play the victim. You don't, just like she said, you don't reward somebody for that.
Oh, yes, your name and address.
Frederick Deemer, 46 Phillip Drive. I abut Julie. And I really don't see, I hear a little bit of barking, but I'm a DAV, and Julie has, without even my asking her, she's mowed my lawn, she's weed whacked it to help me out. You know, nobody else has ever stepped up to give me a hand. And she is in my mind, having quite a few conversations with her. She's a type of intelligent person that could work through any problem that she could work with the neighbors. I can't say enough. She wound up, when she was weed whacking, getting poison ivy. She wound up in a hospital. I mean, I can't say enough for the compassion that woman has. And she can work out any issues that come up. I totally support whatever she wants to do.
And what's your observations as far as with the animal noise?
What?
For the animals, for the noise, you're saying it's minimal?
I think if she could get together with the people and work out what issues they have. You know, she's like I say, she's a highly intelligent individual and compassionate. And I can't say anything else, you know, but.
One thing I forgot to mention.
Yep.
I work nights, 13-hour night shift. I come home sometimes 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. Dogs are already outside barking. I can't sleep. I fall asleep. They wake me up. They keep me up. You know, my quality of life hasn't been good. I can't enjoy my property. I can't open my windows. I can't sleep. I can't sit outside. I can't have company over. I can't even watch TV. All you hear is barking dogs.
And how long have you been with?
My whole life. My father bought the house brand new in 1963. I was raised there. I raised my kids there, and I still reside there. I'm a lifelong resident of Bellingham.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the audience? Just your name and address?
Deborah Burr, 346 Lake Street in Bellingham, and I've lived here 65 years. I just want to say that Julie does take care of our dog. Tiffany takes care of our dog. We've known them for 6 years because our dogs went to school together. And I called and asked, Julie, can we drop the dog off on such and such a day? And she said, no, I've got 4 dogs. I've got as much as I can do right now. We're retired, so I just, okay, well, give me a day when you don't have as many dogs that you can take the dog. And that's what you do. We work it out that way. one day we were there to pick up the dog and our dog was in the backyard. And she started to bark and Julie's like, that's Jules, I gotta go. And she went out back and she made the dog be quiet. So in her defense, in Tiffany's defense, that she has a limit. You know, she has not taken, we've had dogs here before and this woman had 11 dogs that I didn't know about, 11. We don't want our dog in with a whole group of dogs. We want a place where there's less rather than more. Because it's a home environment. To me, that's not a kennel. A kennel is Bow Wow. This is a home. And it's clean. Every time we're there, they've got the scooper, they're cleaning it. I just have all positive experience.
Yeah, and again, I mean, it's not that we're saying that you are not great with the animals. I mean, we don't know, but I know to me, you know, we've had cases like this before the board, and I mean, to me, it's a different scenario too. If you're on, you know, like an acre or an acre and a half, and I know you're on 0.34, so it is a small. That's why a lot of times and I don't know, you know, but will depend on kind of what we hear from the neighbors, and that it's not necessarily what you're doing, but is it the right use for this size lot in this neighborhood?
Mr. Chair, we have another comment right down the front.
Ken Hoyt, 15 Phillip Drive.
Yep.
And Phil's defense here, I don't know how he does it. I mean, I've listened to the dogs for a couple of years now, and they do go on and on and on. I haven't heard of it since I got the letter. But it's true. I don't know how he does it. And this lady here, she sometimes works nights.
Yeah.
My wife also works nights.
And you're obviously, you're 15, so you're further away because you're right next to.
Across the street from Phil. I can see the dogs jumping up and down on the porch, wanting to go in. But, you know, so I'm just against it.
Okay.
And also for the record, not a single apology to the board members, the town, the neighbors. Not a single apology.
Oh, in the back.
It's Mark Deemer, 46 Phillips Drive. I also live in the house right next door to Julie. My bedroom is right next to their property. I don't have any odor problem. Yes, the dogs do bark, but it's not a consistent 6 or 7 hours a day. When it becomes excessive, Julie does bring the dogs into the house, so it doesn't bother the neighbors. She has been trying to do that. Also, what I'm trying to get out of my mind is you're saying it's not a commercial property, yet the house across the street from us, 45 Phillips Drive, they have an auto mechanic shop. So we listen to all of that noise all the time. New gentleman up at the top of the street runs a construction company and a lawn care company out of his house with all those vehicles parked not only in his driveway, but also in the street. Another lady, 2 houses up from Phillips, used to run a daycare center. And she had up to 6 or 7 children at a time. So what I'm trying to get at, why is it so discriminatory against dogs other than other businesses? I would rather hear the dogs than I would at 7 o'clock in the morning with hydraulic lifts and them grinding things. So, and she has been an exceptional neighbor, always willing to reach out, help us. If we're out there doing something and it's too strenuous for me and my father, she automatically comes over, her wife automatically comes over, you know, and they have apologized to us. And we think, you know, it isn't that excessive. I think it's who the neighbor is and the frustration level. And
But just to clarify, so that's,
Oh, absolutely.
he's your dad, right? You guys are the same?
Right.
Okay,
he lives right behind us. Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, Tim, if you,
Yeah, sure. So, look, we're here to talk about 34 Phillip Drive right now. So any other businesses that you you said 47 or 46
That's
is a car shop?
47.
Okay,
We're
47.
46, they're
We've
47.
never got a complaint about 47 ever. I don't know what's going on there, but we'll most certainly check it out now, so.
We
I'll
will
make a note of it.
Well, he's been running,
It's gonna be on the next agenda.
he bought that land and built that property just to put in that repair shop.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you for that. But we are here for 34 Phillip
Right,
Drive.
I'm just saying, why is it okay for all these other?
It's not, because
It's not.
anything being done in a residential zone that's not allowed is not okay. So, but I have never had a complaint on 47 Phillip Drive. So, but we will take a ride by and take a look at it. Thank you.
Oh, did you miss? Yeah, did you have a?
At 12 Phillip Drive, I've been there for a long time.
Oh, and your name?
Dogs, what's your name? Oh, Anne Marie Smith.
Alright.
And I'm 3 houses up from them, and I can see the dogs jumping on the door, trying to get in, barking and barking and barking. I can enjoy my backyard, listen to it bark. Been going on for a long time. 6 in the morning. Yeah.
Sure.
Is Patrick?
I mean, like I said, we've been doing this since 2020 when I first started in 2020, so I'm gonna say 2020 for me. I can't speak for Tracy, she's not in town right now. We've been sending videos recently, from him. It's, you know, for us, I gotta say, I'd say no to it, just because of the area that it's in. I mean, it's already been a nuisance, I don't think it should continue for them. And that's really the stance that me and Tracy have at this point.
So you would say from the documentation you received too, that it seems like it correlates that there has been noise and.
Yeah, and that there hasn't been any reprieve for them, and, you know, and like, I mean, yeah, just from our point of view, with all the complaints that we've had to deal with, it's, I mean, pretty well stated that, you know, that they are a nuisance in the neighborhood. But like I said, Bellingham doesn't have a barking law, so.
Yeah, because you
dogs can be
do,
dogs.
you deal with Franklin and Bellingham.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
mostly deal with Franklin, so I know what their bylaws are and all that. I'm slowly learning Bellingham. Tracy's let me into that. But yeah, there's no bylaw in Bellingham for barking. In Franklin, there is. Franklin's 15 minutes inside.
So barking and noise level is 2 different things. You know, I mean, it's obviously created by the barking, but you know, there is a noise ordinance.
Right.
Yeah, from
And
7
it's
AM to
different.
9 PM.
That's right.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
something we can't enforce. We can tell them. that
Depending on the
you
zone.
Can't bring the dogs out before, 7 AM and have them barking, or after 9. But when it comes to the notice of ordinance, that goes to the police station. That has nothing to do with us at that
So-
point on.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If you know, can you quantify the number of complaints you've responded to since 2020?
Good Lord, since 2020, I've been in the house maybe a total of 7 times, having actually spoken to her directly, and that maybe 4 of them. And that's just me personally. For Tracy, I'd have to ask her. But the number of complaints that have been coming in, and like I said, the gentleman sent us videos. I mean, it's well over 20.
Yeah, I think you said that, or yeah, so that's a good question.
So.
No, I do, but I'll wait for you to be done.
So, special permit criteria shall be granted by special permit granting authority only upon the proposed use will not have adverse effects which overbalance beneficial effects on either the neighborhood or the town. In view of the particular characteristics of the site and of the proposal in relation to that site. The determination shall indicate considerations of each of the following: social, economic, community needs which are served by the proposal. I don't know if there's that necessarily applies. Traffic flow and safety, that might be a consideration. Adequacy of utilities and other public services, I don't think that's a concern. I think where this one is the problem: neighborhood character and social structures. Qualities of natural environment, I don't think that's really a consideration. Potential fiscal impact, I don't think that's a consideration. So to me, it centers around D, neighborhood character and social structure. In my mind, given the fact there's been a number of complaints since 2020, there's been cease and desist letters and all of that. And I'm not saying you're bad at what you do, but it clearly doesn't fit in this neighborhood. Now, I understand that this neighborhood abuts 495, and to the north, I think there's an industrial use. So it's not exactly the world's quietest neighborhood, I would suspect. I don't know, but I suspect that's true. But given the number of complaints, given it's a corner lot on a 1/3 acre,
Yeah.
where it's just on the line of an accessory use, where it's more of a commercial use, I would be inclined not to approve the special permit, sort of cut to the chase.
Well, that's why I guess with the previous one where you're saying about with the, Tim, you're saying where they had the guy had the 7 pugs. Like the same, that was even smaller in a tight neighborhood, but I feel like the overwhelming support from the neighborhood and it was his own.
They were his own.
And I think we conditioned that he would, if he gave away some, or it would go down to the number of 4. It was not improper. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to ask, currently, today, right now, how many dogs are there?
1.
And just, again, curiosity, cease and desist issued on July 27th. Why did the town have to come back on August 9th and issue another one? We have 2.
Thank you, thank you. Yep.
We have one day to the 27th and one day to the 9th. So on the 27th, did all the dogs get removed?
No.
No.
Okay. That's why another one was issued on the 9th.
That's why the next enforcement came up.
Hence tripping you to apply here.
So can I just say something to be, you're like, Mr. Gabriel, you're 100% right. I didn't know I was doing anything wrong because it came down to tax time. I put this income in part of my taxes. I'm like doing it under the table. So I didn't know I was doing anything wrong until, I've had conversations with you, I had conversations with Patrick. And Patrick even said, you need a kennel license. I said, okay. That same day, I actually went online and I thought I got a kennel license. Like you guys, no offense, but reading the laws and the bylaws, all that took a little bit of time. So can you imagine me, who 1, didn't know how to do it, and then 2, didn't do it right. So I thought I was getting what I was supposed to get. So here's 7 dog licenses. So I honestly thought this was the kennel license. So I got these. So I was like, okay, that's all set. And then that's when Patrick and Amy came around again. And actually we had another conversation, I think. And I had said to you, oh, I got the kennel license. And then it got really confusing because
That's what I said, where did you get a kennel license?
because I had these right
What's
here.
the date on that?
This was on May 7th.
What's the name of that?
May 7th. So then that's when Amy got involved and that's where she started. She actually was great and like sat down with me and like told me what I need to do because I honestly had no idea what I need to do. And that's what brought me here today.
So for me anyway, there's no reflection on you or your care of the dogs. It's more of just, does this use overburden the neighborhood? And there's enough to suggest that it's probably causing a little friction, at least with your neighbors out here. So we don't take any pleasure, I know I don't, saying no to people. We want people to be happy and to do what they want with their land. But when there's when that use comes, the friction with the neighbors, then our hands are tied, you know what I mean? So it's nothing personal. It's just the bylaws tell us what to do. And we have to sometimes be the bad guy to do it. So I always speak for myself. But I'm just,
There's another individual in the audience.
I just want to say everybody's using like a horrible picture of.
But
Name and address,
please.
Oh, Christine, I live on North Street, I live in Bellingham, and they take care of our dog. We don't trust anybody with our dog. I'm very particular. We've gone to like Bow Wow. Our dog had gouges taken out. She's very strict where we have to give like all the vaccinations. The dog, like they stay in that area with the dog. The dog's never left alone, is not kenneled because Tiffany's home with them. I mean, I wouldn't leave my dog with anybody. When we lived in Atlanta, my dog would fly hang on us. Because I don't, you say it's a kennel, and I don't consider it a kennel because they're in their personal home and they're caring for them as if it's their child. And it upsets me that, I know I'm not living in the neighborhood, but it upsets me that everybody's talking so horrible about them, like they're horrible people, and they care for our animal like it's their own child.
I don't think there's any
And I
question.
just, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt,
Sure.
but the area where their house is, the traffic noise is horrific. I mean, it's louder than anything. I know for a fact, when they did take care of our dog, she's in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock. So the noise ordinance for like the barking, she's not out of compliant with that because the dog is in bed and asleep. And I know I was looking at the noise ordinance because I was dealing with this down at my parents' property in Newport, where someone was putting a kennel in the back door. And, you know, the property's even smaller and dogs are gonna bark and they're not barking incessantly. Like anytime I've been there, they're on top of the dogs constantly.
Which again, yeah, I mean, it's not any critique as to, and that's not our job to look at how they are for taking care of dogs. And I don't know if anyone's really sounds like they're saying that, but it's again about the size of the property, the neighborhood, and about
It's the impact.
just the impact.
I just wanted to clarify that because
Yeah.
I just feel like it paints a horrible picture that it being attacked.
You know, I do know that barking was an issue, and that's why I did a whole week's worth of minutes of barking for you guys, because I do know when you hear the dogs are barking all day long, what does that mean to you?
I also think the other thing that's difficult is that not everyone's a dog person, not everyone's an
Oh.
animal person. And I could see going through by that neighborhood, you're all very close to each other. So that's why we have to be as objective as possible, but to say like, what is in here, are there any adverse effects on the neighborhood? And it appears like there are. It appears like there are a number of there are some in support, but we have to weigh like, not that we don't want
I
to try
just want to
to,
make sure that you're
are
weighing
your-
weighing the facts and not
Yeah.
all day long.
but again,
That's
it's kind of like, it's what
100%
you're
in
looking to do for your situation, but you have at least a number of other people, you know, do you balance one over what a number of other residents are saying is an issue to them?
with
There
the
was
barking.
one more individual.
Oh,
Gentleman
yeah.
here.
Yeah, John Bishop, 8 Phillip Drive. Just to clarify something, what you were saying, and you, so the John, no one's attacking her. No one said she's a bad person. All right, nothing like that. It's the impact on what she has going in her house on the rest of us in the neighborhood. That's all it is.
Yeah.
She's, I mean, I love dogs. I've had dogs all my life. All right. I've had a couple, 3 or 4 dogs in my folks' house in another town years ago when I was young, but that's beside the point. The thing is, the impact is having. And to your point about 495, yeah, it's right there, we hear it. All right, you kind of get used to it, unfortunately, but you do. But we also have the other traffic on Farm Street coming from the engineering, asphalt engineering. You've got Algonquin Industries right next to us. There's another gentleman, as he had mentioned, at the end of our street on Farm Street. It's whatever it is. He's a landscaper. He's redone his yard. And he's parking his vehicles in there, more than one. Not only that, he parks his vehicles on Farm Street. His workers park their cars on Farm Street during the day. That is a problem, all right? But again, not picking on her or her wife. It's just the fact that it's a residential area. For that type of business, it's just not fit. And we have to put up with it. And if you don't live in the area, you don't know the impact it has on us. All right, just like I don't live in your area.
Sir, if you could
There's
address-
something there that's bothering you.
Yeah, address it to the board.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, but I don't live in her area. And again, if there's something there that's impacting her, you know, it doesn't affect me as much or directly. So I'm against this. And that's, you know, all I'm saying right now. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. And I just want to say that I think Brian said it best, that this is really difficult for us, that we don't take any pleasure in having to rule over these. We try to be as impartial as possible, and we try to weigh the neighborhood impact with what we're kind of hearing, but you know,
I
we
just ask
don't,
that you weigh the facts, that's all.
yeah.
That's all I'm asking. Because, you know, just because they're voicing their opinion, they're upset, they're very loud, like, they're very emotional. That shouldn't oversee just the facts, that's all I'm asking.
And did you?
They're not opinions, they're facts, 100%.
Yeah, if you want
I'd
to.
just like to mirror what he said. a couple of times I've gone, try to get out of Phillip Drive on the Farm Street. And I don't know what's going on at the top of that street, but the traffic is horrendous and I had to wait. That is a big safety issue. What if an ambulance had to come down there? There's too much blockage on the top of Farm Street.
If you'd like to talk, I think like Amy Sutherland.
Yeah,
would be the
that's
best.
unfortunately.
It'd be a different,
Something
yeah,
we can't address here.
Yeah.
We're not here for
But
that,
it's a safety issue.
but we're not here for that, sir.
Yeah, I know,
Okay.
but I was just mirroring what he said.
So any comments, yeah, relating to,
This lady in front wanted to say something.
oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Hi, I'm Jen Wilderness, 16 Phillip Drive. I'm not emotional. I'm a nurse that's worked with COVID for 3 years. That's not their fault. That's not their fault. That's my job. We've had so many nurses out with COVID that they've been mandating us to work 48 hours in a row. I work the day shift, then we work the night shift and the next day shift. Try to squeeze in some time. I don't notice the barking as much in the summer because I have an air conditioner and I have it on at night the whole time. There have been plenty of days over the 3 years when it's the fall and winter that I hear the barking quite a bit, less lately. But even at, 6 in the morning or before. So it's very difficult because if I can always, but that's, my sleep schedule is not anybody else's fault, but it makes it very difficult.
you have little windows that you can get the central kind of,
Yeah, I
yeah.
have a noise machine too, but I can hear that. And yeah, the traffic is, it's really loud too. I used to live in front of conservation land, so that was a real shock to me. But I loved the house.
But which, I mean, I can't speak for the board, but for me would be like, just because there's one source of noise, I wouldn't say like, oh, well, that's already making a lot of noise, so it's okay. I'd be like, that's irrelevant.
That's exactly
Yeah.
irrelevant. And also I appreciate the people and I'm sure that they take care of the dogs wonderfully. But with all due respect, the people, that do business, they don't live in the area and we do. So I'm 2 houses away. So it's just difficult to sleep sometimes when it's not the summer. And like I said, it's not anyone's fault. That's my job. But it's been especially a trying time in the last few years as a nurse, because, we all know. So that's just my thought. I also wonder about the resale value if we have, the traffic. I almost didn't buy the house because of the traffic. I had to go back to it a few times because the traffic bothered me, but I feel like if there's even a lot more noise, then it's going to deter somebody from buying the house if I want to sell it within the next couple of years. So those are my thoughts.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, if there are no
Additional,
new information, I would move to close the hearing.
okay,
Second.
discussion? No. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
So, I mean, I sort of expressed myself. I don't know if anyone disagrees with me or whatever, so.
I generally, I mean, I think I feel like with previous cases too, that I weigh kind of what the input is from the public and that I do take into consideration, I feel like that it is I live on a small piece of land, but that this is a small piece of land and that I weigh also a lot of the residents too. They've been there a while, but a lot of the other ones have been there longtime residents who are saying that. And obviously we have a third party as far as the animal control, he's got no, other than what he hears and what he's witnessed to, what's been sent to him and coming to him. It seems clear that there has been effects on adjacent neighbors to some degree.
Yeah, and I mean, in some of the past ones, we've had them come back 6 months based on number of complaints, if they derived any complaints, and we get this one coming in with however many complaints the animal control is. I'm gonna have to agree with your opinion. That's just my humble opinion.
And I would agree as well.
I do appreciate what the applicant is doing in terms of taking care of dogs, and that's very important for the public, but our job as a zoning board is not what's happening with the dogs, it's making sure that the neighborhood is, we keep the neighborhood's character, everyone's happy, that there's, if you have 2-3 complaints, that's fine, but when you're getting 20 complaints and it's been happening for 4 years, and, nothing happened after that, and it took until today for us to, deal with this.
Right,
Those
actually,
altogether.
You bring up a great point too, that, we're here for the zoning and for the town.
Right.
As far as the control or care of the animals, that's what our Board of Health and Animal Control are really
Correct.
for.
That's not our
for
duty.
us to judge or make comment on or have in consideration.
Right, our duties specifically for the neighborhood, the zoning.
Traffic,
and traffic,
noise.
exactly, and so we're checking pretty much what the bylaw requires, so, we covered, 4 things, the 25%, potential fiscal impact, that's fine, quality, but we had, the traffic flow and safety, that's in between, but really the neighborhood character and social structure, nothing like this exists already within that neighborhood. I understand there are some other loud noises, but having too bad doesn't make it right. So I'm on the same level as in.
Plus, I think those are all irrelevant.
Correct.
Whether, like Tim said, whatever, if there's a landscape, whatever business is, that's not our purview. And also that 495 making noise, I'm like, that doesn't, if I live there and I'm like, there's a lot of noise coming from this, you have a warehouse, then it's like, well, then we could throw another warehouse and make noise. I'd be like, no, that's not,
right.
Like you said, it's too wrong. Yeah.
So I suppose I do have a question, Mr. Chairman. We have 2 factors in front of us. We have an application for a special permit, but we also have a standing cease and desist order. So are we voting to uphold the cease and desist, and or are we voting to allow or disallow the special permit?
I don't think that's for us, to cease and desist.
We're not.
For us? Okay.
Cease and desist is just bringing the issue to you.
Okay.
To,
I just want to get clarification.
They
what
came
exactly
in,
we'll be
they
voting
filed,
on.
they filed an
Okay.
application, and that's what's in front of you,
Okay.
to approve or deny.
Thanks for clarification.
My question would be, would they still be able to do this with 3 or 4 dogs? So 3 dogs additional to theirs, would they still be able to continue?
I don't think so.
Not for commercial use, no.
No.
So I think we have to make a motion in the affirmative.
We don't have.
We don't have to, okay, I move to decline the applicant as applied for.
I'll second it.
Discussion? I feel like we already had some good discussion, but. All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Very sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. It doesn't give us pleasure. It's not easy to make these rulings, and we try to, I think as the board has said, we try to as objectively or as best as possible, try to weigh factually what's presented before us, but thank you.
Very sorry. Thank you, everybody, for showing up.
Would I be able to bring my dog over there for her to watch my dog? Or?
And thank you for all the neighborhood, all the neighbors coming and showing up. And these are never easy, and we appreciate it.
All right, folks, we still have a meeting going on, so if you don't mind taking it outside.
And thanks, Bruce.
Thank you, sir.
I said thank you.
It's tough. When I get my permit, I'm on 3 acres, so, big factor. My nearest neighbor was 1,000 feet away.
Tim, thanks.
Oh, thanks, Tim. Yeah.
It's tough to keep the dogs quiet. My biggest problem is I have a rabbit hole to the property. Golden retrievers, 100 dogs. So I've got 14 dogs barking that I had to go very quiet down.
Move to the last, it's just minutes. then,
Just
right?
minutes.
Excuse us if you have a conversation, if you may, please take it outside. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, we're still just wrapping up the
Could
rest
you
of the
go
meeting.
out, could you take the
We could take that.
conversation outside, Patrick?
Oh,
Patrick?
Oh, Patrick, do you mind? Yeah, take it outside.
Please.
Thank you. Sorry.
We have to continue our hearing.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes unless anyone has an issue with it.
Second.
I have no issue.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Hey, Tim, thanks for being.
Yeah,
here.
thanks.
Thank you,
Tim.
Jim.
You're huge.